Oh, welcome back to my O-gauge layout, and I want to start working on this dock seat. I've got all the parts for it. I've got my Land Rover, got my boathouse sort of barn, I've got boats there, got this jetty that I've built. It's just plastic, so I want to get that in, but I need to get it stood, probably shrink the down a little bit more, work out exactly where that is going to fit and how it's going to fit best. Obviously I've got my barge that I built. I've had to just press the rudder in just a little bit so I can push it a little bit further back. Just hang over the edge there slightly now, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Need to detail this a little bit more. Got some tyres to work on that. Crane to improve a little bit, and the Land Rover, you'd never see a Land Rover in that pristine condition, so I'm going to have a go at weathering that and getting it to look a little bit better. And also this building here, when I was building the layout, I thought, yeah, it'll be fine about that distance, because the idea was for the tracks to just go in front of it. But I'm actually going to just move it back a little bit. So I'm going to cut a piece of this out so I can lay that back, just add a little bit more, give me a little bit more to room to work on. I'm going to then create a base, concrete base that would then sit on, and I think that'll be fine. Get this ready for all the resin. That is on order, so I don't know when that's going to come yet. Hopefully in the next few days. I've got some resin, so I'm going to make a start and put a first dark pour in, and then put a slightly lighter colour in afterwards. But being in the conservatory, I don't know how it's going to go. I might have to move it into the house and risk getting it all over the floor if it all goes wrong, but I think that's going to be my best option, because getting it warmer. Anyway, let me make a start. I'm going to get this to fit a little bit better first. I think that's my first. So it does seem a little bit of a shame to cut away scenery after you've done it, but it won't be a problem. So he says, and it's quite, it has gone very solid. Now am I going to put that in the right place? I think if I can just get that to come back a little bit more. Can I get that to sit a bit like that? Won't really notice this behind the building so much. So I think we need to come out a bit more. I'll recover it with all grass textures anyway, so. Now that, I think, will be much better. So now we've got bit more space in front. So I've just got to tidy that mess up there. So I think the best thing to do is vacuum up, get some glue in there, paint that up again. So that's going to sit, and it will sit nice and flat. Yeah, should do. So if I get a concrete base for that, do I need to make it further back? I think that would get away with. So I want to put the muddy tracks coming along. It's as if it's coming along from a bit further along. So yeah, just tidy that a little bit flatter. There we go. Disguise that. Right, let me get that tidied up. I know one thing is it is slightly unrealistic to be steep as that, but I think I'll get away with it because you won't really notice it behind the building so much. So as long as I can get the building to sit nice and level. I'm not planning to put lights in that because it's just a barn and typically wouldn't have lights inside. So, and with the tiles, you would actually see through all the tiles, so I'm not going to do that. So let's get that fixed. I should have painted that green before, really. Now, it'll be alright. The green grass texture will cover it. Plenty of PVA glue. Get it to really be nice and thick. And I can weather it in as well, so. Right, let me get the grass. Oop. Let that dry, then I'll put bits of lacquer over it just to set it in, and then right, so that should be good. Right, I'm going to get this jetty glued in position as well now. This is just it's sprayed up. And I could put a bit more weathering over that. I don't know whether a step there or not. You know, I think that's probably about right. I want a boat just next to it there, so maybe I could have put it that way a little bit more. Let's destroy more of the scenery. Yeah, then I can just get a boat in there. And even a boat at the front there. So I'm going to glue that in place now, I think. I'll have a go at making these muddy tracks as well, so I need to just mark roughly the width of the wheels. So just measured out where the boathouse would be. Quite a bit of loose grass there. That's alright then. It should be about the width of those wheels. Yep. Sort of a bit of a guess. And I'll just have it up to the back there, so I can then sort of park it anywhere around there, I think. So now I need to pull up some of that grass. Let's see if we can just remove some of this. There. And there you go. Not going to waste any. Now I don't actually have the brown that I want, so I'll just use a bit of blue. Bit of red. And some yellow. Yeah, just gives that a good more mix. That's not coming out too bad. Might look a bit dark on the camera, but actually quite nice, muddy looking, a little bit reddy. So that is a touch more blue, I think, or maybe on a second coat I might put a slight bit of a darker brown over the top. And I'll just clean the end of that brush off. That should be better. I'll clean that clumps up there though. Now admittedly it doesn't look much like mud at the moment, but I'm hoping it will once I've got a little bit more work done to this. Right, just going to leave that to dry before I really can do any more on it. I think that's a little bit narrow there. I'm going to widen that track a little bit. That should be alright. I just put the rest of this paint on instead of wasting it. So we'll put it on in blobs then. Right, loads to dry, glue and that, so have a look, we'll see what else I can do. So now I want to get some reeds around this jetty, but really only got those left of the wooden scenics. I've got this tall grass, but not sure how that one's going to look, so hopefully I've got enough for this to use. Let me get some scissors. And a few reeds around this back end piece. So I'm just going to use this textile glue, as it's all waterproof. Not very good scissors, but I've cut it. So right, I know the resin's not going to come up this far, so I'm just going to use a little bit of this clump foliage. Oops, this is the Woodland Scenics one. light green. Maybe the dark green might have been a little bit better. Although I think that looks okay. Trying to blend it in with the same as the background scene. I want this sort of as it would be sort of growing up. And the idea is it hides this sharp edge. On the dock. Great, a little bit of scenery like this. Right, there's a bit. I'm going to put it's a long day out as well. Hide the dark, sort of sharp edges of that concrete then, as this foliage is growing over it. I've added a lot more. I've put PVA glue over the top as well, so help it all stick. And I'm just using a few of these like grass clump foliages just to put a few weeds in between where they in the tracks. The impression that it's quite overgrown. Just got to be careful that they don't get in the way of the points. But one of the things it is sort of doing is hiding that point lever a little bit. I think that's enough for those. So all that is now dried, and what I want to try and do is get this muddy tracks into some sort of a muddy look. So I'm just going to use a little bit of darker brown just in the middle of the track. And I'm just going to let that set, and dry, and then I can start to get it to look a little bit more muddy. Well, now that's all dried, I'm going to try and get a bit of a muddy luster to this. So I'm going to try some of this and see if this. I've used this before on a layout to try and get some water effects, but not used it like this. So I'm just wondering, well, if it doesn't work, I can just paint over it. It does dry clear. We could have done with a slightly finer brush because I just want to get it in the middle. Right, I'm going to carry on with the rest of that and come back when it's dry. That's all the Mod Pod dried, and it actually looks quite good. So let me just giving it quite a wet sort of look. So I think that all works quite well. It's a wet mud. Right, one thing I want to have a look at is this Land Rover, and it's in pristine condition. Don't think you'd ever see a Land Rover in pristine condition in the sort of the rural. So can I get this all apart? Well, that came apart a lot easier than I was expecting, but the rest of it is all glued together. Now that is a little bit annoying. So I think I'm going to have to mask all this off then. Because what I want to do is take away all the shine, use the matte lacquer on that, take away all that shine, and then dirty it up a little bit. But if I use the matte lacquer, it will frost all the glass. So put that chassis to one side, and I'll get some masking tape and mask all this off that I don't want to spray. That's got back window to mask off there as well. This is quite dull, so it's not going to make much difference on that. And I don't have to be that precise. Right, I'm going to give that a quick spray. The usual matte lacquer. Now that's much better. Taking all the shine off. That actually looks more prototypical. So I'm going to put this back together. And apply some dirt. Do with a magnetic screwdriver. Not a problem. Right, that looks loads better already, so no shine now at all to it, more how it would be looking. And I'm going to have a go with some streaking grime as well. Look at that. Yeah, a bit of a shake. And what's this look like? Okay, let's get a couple of brushes. I have no idea if this is going to work all right, and also doing it by sort of looking at the camera. door is. It's hard to really see what I'm doing. Not really sure if that's working much. Oh, I haven't taken the tape off the back window there. A bit on the canvas wood then. That should have worked a bit better on there, like that. Nice to try some new things, actually. I think we need I try and just get a bit more on that roof. Not really made for this, like doing it like this. Just want to dull the canvas down a little bit. Looking very dirty. And what I do need to do is to get some mud on these tyres, and so get a bit of mud around the wheel arches and tyres and things like that. So I think I'm going to have a go with that next. Use it, a bit of this acrylic, and this is actually called old rust, but it's quite a dirty. Not going on as well as I was hoping for. Well, I'm going to leave that to sort of dry. May want to put a bit more. So, I think, oops, nearly got that over the table then. Wouldn't be very good. So, like I said, I'm just going to let that mould effect dry. And then see how that looks once that's all dried. I may have gone a bit overboard, I may not, you know me. I think, and there we have it. All the paint's all nice and dry, just sort of dropped it on the into those mud tracks, so gives it a good feel. As you've probably noticed, I've got the boathouse barn building on there as well, and the spare ladder that I'd got I was going to use on the dock. I've decided just to have that there, and put a bit of foliage growing up it, so it just needs a bit of glue drying now. So well, thank you for joining me on this first part of the video. I've decided this week to split it into 2 videos, as it was quite a long video. In the second part I will be pouring the resin, so stick around if you'd like to see that.